Hello everyone and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care channel. I'm Dwayne and I'm a certified RV inspector, and today we're going to be talking about RV vent covers for your ceiling fan vents. Why do you really need them anyway, and how to install them? And let's get started on that first question. Why do you need a vent cover? I mean, there is a lid on your vent, right? Well, the covers that go over that are very helpful in several ways. First of all, they allow your vent lid to be open while it's raining, and they won't allow any rain or moisture to come into the RV. And that's really nice because while it's raining, you can still have a nice flow through of air in the RV. Now, the second thing that vent covers will do is, even if it isn't raining and you had that vent lid up, if a strong wind comes by, well, it can damage that lid and maybe even tear it off altogether. But if you had the vent cover over it, well, it prevents that from happening. The third thing that a vent cover can do is protect that vent lid from damage by the sun. You know, these lids are just made of plastic. That's all they are. And you know how plastic is when it's outside in the sun for any period of time. UV rays just pour down on it, dry it out, it cracks, and then you got to replace that lid so it doesn't leak. Well, the vent cover prevents all that. Finally, the vent cover does something that I hadn't even really thought about till this year. We were actually starting out in the spring, heading north, and we went through Texas, and it was just one day after another of bad weather. In particular, hail was sprinkled through it, but one storm really had 30 minutes worth of solid hail. And when it was done, I went up, checked out the roof, and sure enough, as you can see here, I had a hole in one of my vent lids. And so the hail had done damage. Well, you know, I'd been thinking about getting vent covers for a while, you know, putting them on, but that cemented it for me. I said, boy, I've got to get this thing done because any more hailstorms come by, I want to be sure I'm ready for them. And so sure enough, within a couple of weeks, I had the vent covers on. Now, sure, the hail can still perhaps damage the cover, although these covers are a little thicker material, really, than the lid material is. But even if it does damage the cover, you can replace the cover a lot easier than you can replace the lid, which is actually part of the vent. So it works out better to have that cover over it for all these reasons that we've just talked about. Now, in my particular rig, I have what's called Fantastic fans. That's just a brand of the ceiling vent fan. And so I had my choice. You know, what am I going to buy to put on these vents up on the roof? And there's several makers that actually make universal type fit vent covers. But Fantastic fans are a little unique in certain ways. And so I got the covers that actually fit Fantastic fan vents, and I did it for one major reason. These covers allow that lid to really open up a good ways and allow a lot more air for flow through. So I wanted that. And now you can actually get these other universal mount vent covers and they'll work fine, and actually they're much easier to install too. Very simple. But you know, I wanted the best quality airflow that I could get, and so that's why I got the Fantastic fan vent covers. Now, let's talk a little bit about why people kind of shy away from those vent covers. First of all, they're a little more expensive. Second, they require a little more work, and this is where people kind of get hung up, I think, a little bit. Because to install the Fantastic fan vent covers, the ones designed for them, you've got to remove some of the sealant around the screws on the roof there, and then put anchors down that the vent cover attaches to. And I think a lot of people are a little worried about that, like, you know, am I really going to do the right thing? Well, here's the good news. I had never done that before myself, but when I did it, it went fine. It went really easy. In fact, it only took a short time to be able to do it. And so I took some pictures of what I did and how I did it, and I want to show that to you now. First of all, let's start out with a video that explains how you put this fantastic fan vent cover together first, and then I'll show you how I actually installed it. So here you go. Okay, so let's assemble our vent cover here. And to do that, the grill here that goes on the front, as you can see in the bottom, it has these spaces, these open spots or slots. And all you have to do is really line it up with these tabs on the bottom and engage them, push it in. And then you take these little push pins and push it through the hole on the side. That's one side. Let me go around and do the other side. All right. There you go. It's assembled. Okay, so before we get started on the actual work, let's get our tools together. And this is all the tools that I used on this particular project to put on the vent covers. And as you can see, I've got a cordless drill driver there. And now you don't have to do that. You could just use a screwdriver. But the drill driver makes it so much faster. So if you can use that, it's a great idea to do it. Then you'll see that I've got a couple of scrapers there. I've got a plastic one and a metal scraper. You might want to try the plastic one first to make sure you don't tear anything up and see if it works well. If you can, and you see there's no issue there, you might try the metal one then. I went on to the metal one and I had no problem with it. But you don't want to tear any of the roof membrane while you're working up there. And then, of course, you're going to need some sealant. And so there you go, my nice tube of Dicor along with the gun that applies it. So these are the tools that I used. And before we get started, let's show you where we're going to put the anchors for the vent covers. And as you can see, it goes on the screw heads that are one screw in from each corner of the vent. And what we're looking at right now is the side of that vent. So one screw in from the corner is where you're going to put the vent anchors or the vent cover anchors. And here they are. What I did is I just took the anchor, I just placed it on top of the screw head. As you can see, the little hole up there matches up with the screw head. So I put it on there, and then I marked a spot on each side of the anchor where I've got to cut the sealant and remove it. So the next thing we see here is I'm going ahead and I'm removing that sealant in that area. And first of all, we'll get it off of the screw head itself, and there you go. That's what it looks like after it's done. And then we'll go ahead and remove the rest of it. You know, some folks don't remove that bottom piece of sealant, but I really felt like it was important to go ahead and do that. The anchors fit really well when you do that. You just make a nice cutout all through the sealant there for it to fit into. Now, once we have all of the old sealant scraped off, then I apply some new sealant, especially over that screw hole. You want to make sure you get the screw hole covered, but then I go ahead and I just applied it wherever the area was where the anchor is going to be located. Now, once I had that done, then I went ahead and put the anchor in place, the holder there, and used my drill driver and screwed it right in place. And when I did, then that's what it looked like. You notice the sealant just kind of squirts out underneath, and that's good because you want a nice, good coverage of it there. Now, the next thing you want to do at that point is put new sealant over the top of the vent cover holder or anchor. So you want to seal everything. You've put it underneath. Now you put it on top, where the screw head is and where basically match where the old sealant was. And once you do that, you can see here that I've done two different holders or anchors on the same side the same way. And once you're done with one side, you go and you do the next side over there. Once all that is done, once you've let that sealant sit for a little bit and kind of get a little more rigid, well, then it's time to go ahead and put your cover on top. Make sure that it matches up with the holes there. That's in the cover. Make sure the anchors match up well. And then when they do, you put in the cotter pins, and the cotter pins hold it right there to the anchors. And they really do a good job. They don't wiggle around or anything. I haven't noticed any of that rattling or any of that kind of thing. So once you're done, there you go. You have the vent cover right on top, and there is your vent. And so it really was that simple. It's just a matter of a few steps to get it all done. And once you're done, it looks great and will be doing a great job for you. Well, there you go. That's just how simple and easy it is. It was not brain surgery or rocket science. Actually, it was very simple. It only took me about an hour to do both vent covers on my ceiling fan vents. And that was starting from scratch, really not knowing what I was doing. I watched a few videos to make sure I was heading in the right direction, but then I did it, and it's that easy. Now, as I mentioned before, you don't have to use fantastic fan vent covers. You can use the other universal fit covers. There's a company called Maxair that makes some of them. They're actually really simple to install. They don't even require any sealant being removed at all. And that's simple. But even if you went with the fantastic fan vent covers, they are very easy, very simple. Anyone can do it. I know a lot of people say that, but I honestly believe that just about anybody could put those vent covers on their ceiling fan vents on the roof. The only thing to remember is you are going to be getting up on that roof. Now, if that's a problem for you, then be sure to have someone like a qualified RV technician install them instead. But if you're going to do it, be sure that you follow all safety procedures while getting up on that roof. You know, we've done a lot of things on our rig over the years, little modifications that we made here and there. But I would have to say that on the list of modifications, this ranks right up there somewhere at the top for the real world benefits that we've got out of it, because it's nice to be able to have those vents open pretty much any time you want and not worry about wind or rain or anything while you have a nice flow through of air in your RV. So I highly recommend these vent covers, and I do recommend that you consider installing them yourself. Well, that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.